Hi, everyone. Welcome to PeopleMetrics Live. Today, we're revealing 5 secrets behind world-class customer experience, otherwise known as CX. To kick things off, Sean, can you just name a few brands for us that deliver a world-class customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, and I've been reading about some net promoter score benchmarks that have been revealed publicly. So, Disney has always been the one that has had the highest net promoter score and have created consistently great customer experiences. And, Disney is more than parks now, right? They have Disney Plus and they have all these movies and content that they're delivering. So I'd say they're a great example. Peloton, also another like newer company that is delivering, for the most part, a great customer experience. They've had supply chain issues, but I think once people get the bike, people tend to be very, very pleased by it. We've seen Spotify have really high customer experience type scores. And then you can think of kind of any, just locally, a great restaurant you've been to, a local restaurant tends to do that. Hotels, now that we're getting back to that, Four Seasons and Ritz and Mandarin, they've always have been, kind of the pioneers of great customer experience. It was born in hospitality. So they're ones that have really led the way there. And there's lots of other great, boutique hotels that deliver, exceptional customer experiences. So that's just a few.
Awesome. Yeah. And I just what you were saying about the root of CX being in that hospitality space.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to talk about today is how there's a lot of common factors going on behind the scenes of all those brands that you just mentioned. Obviously, there's ways that you differentiate yourself,
Yeah.
but today we're going to be going over some of those core things that make for a great customer experience, world-class customer experience.
Yeah.
So Audrey, do you have anything you want to add to that before we jump into our breakdown today?
Just that, Sean, I think you forgot to mention PeopleMetrics. We
Thank you.
provide a world-class customer experience.
We do. Our net promoter score is very high. It's not 94 like Peloton, but it's high 80s, which I will definitely take any day. Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
On that one, Audrey.
Thanks, Audrey. All right. So let's get into it. We're going to just go through, we've got a little diagram to share today, and we're going to walk through these 5 secrets behind world-class customer experience. So here we go.
Yes. And this is based on working in this space for a long time. I have a book called Listen or Die, 40 Lessons That Turn Customer Feedback into Gold. And all of these are actually talked about in there, but we kind of took the 5 that we think, stand out, and there's lots of others, but let's start with 5. And let's reveal the first one, Madeline.
Yes. 5's a good, easy number, right?
Right. So in this one, when we say democratize customer feedback, it means that companies who have a world-class customer experience, first of all, listen to customers consistently, all the time, continuously. And they enable that feedback to be accessed through many people within the organization. It doesn't sit in silos or just with, say, the brand or market research person. It's distributed usually through a software platform like PeopleMetrics or others that are in the market. And folks who are delivering that experience have that information at their fingertips in real time, as soon as they walk in, or they're looking at their phone before they walk in, kind of what was the customer's experience just yesterday or last hour or last minute. So Audrey, I think that's a really, really important one. And the best companies listen to their customers consistently.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's sort of a table stake that you need to be listening to your customers. But this democratizing the feedback is really important as well. I think historically, very few people in an organization were actually getting the results or analyzing the data. And this is a big change over time that has happened. But this means really every employee at your company should be able to see this feedback and understand what it means. And that's the first step in really providing this world-class experience.
Right. I mean, we were just on a call with a client, right, Audrey, and we were talking about, well, how do you get people to buy into being customer centric, right? And the only way you can get your company to buy in is to share customer stories with them consistently in real time, and even better, as you said, Audrey, give everyone access to them. But having leaders kind of highlight this in terms of, what are customers saying? What are some examples of delivering a great experience that we've had recently, not like 2 years ago, but yesterday, and have that be part of the culture. And that's really how you become a customer-centric company, is that the customer voice becomes the center of your organization, and you're listening to them, you're reacting to them, and you're delivering better experiences over time.
Yeah, I think the customer voice, that part of it is what's really powerful. It's one thing to send out a memo or to put a poster up or to talk about the idea of what a customer wants, but really hearing it directly from the customer, either in a survey comment, their actual words, or in a video, or a recording, just hearing it directly from the customer is much more powerful than doing it another way.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and hearing it consistently and constantly.
Yeah, it's like you don't watch your favorite TV show once every 2 years, right? You generally are watching it, they have 12 episodes or whatever. It's like, it's the same thing with customer feedback. It's constantly changing in terms of kind of what they're kind of wanting, what they're experiencing, the different experiences they might want in the future. And you just can't turn that spigot on once a year or once every 2 years and consider yourself customer centric. It doesn't work. Customer centricity needs to be consistent, and it needs to be democratized across the organization. And with technology, that's possible. Back in the day when I started in this industry, that really wasn't possible. We were getting mainly using telephone interviewing to get customer feedback to begin with. So that took a lot of time. That data would come back in, and then we'd analyze it, and we'd get a report back to our main client. And that main client then would maybe socialize that with a handful of people with the company, but it wasn't instantaneously getting to, let's say, a contact center rep or an account manager or anyone who's responsible for a customer in real time. Like, that was like a pipe dream. That was not gonna happen. But with the internet and with what's going on with the technology, it's not only possible, the best companies are absolutely doing that and leveraging the feedback consistently.
Hi, it's Madeline. Thanks for joining us for PeopleMetrics Live. If this is your first time watching, PeopleMetrics Live is a weekly live webinar session where experts from our team answer your questions about customer, employee, and patient experience measurement and management. And sometimes we show you how you can achieve your goals using tools within our experience management platform. We've been doing this for over 2 decades now, and this is a great way for us to share our knowledge with you. You can sign up for upcoming sessions of PeopleMetrics Live at www.peoplemetrics.com/events and bring a friend. That reminds me of a session that we did in the past about the difference between market research and customer experience, where, when you're doing that kind of research, there's just differences there, right, between the distribution and who's getting the results.
Right. I mean, market research, great. It's you have a strategic question, what message resonates best with a market, or how should we price a product, or, whatever. That if you have a strategic question, definitely go out and ask customers about it. But what customer experience is it's consistency in delivering that experience over time, right? So in order to be consistent, you have to be listening consistently, and you have to be following up with poor experiences consistently, making them right, and also making future ones better by understanding, what's wrong with what you're delivering. So it's very different, although there are some similarities, but the best companies understand that too. And they use both very effectively. Market research isn't going away. It's really, really important. But customer experiences should be like the foundation of your listening program.
Definitely. All right. Are we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, Here we go.
So Audrey, our best clients do what? They don't measure everything. They measure the things that really, really matter.
Yes. And they're familiar, they map out their touch points where they're interacting with their customers, and they know which ones are moments of truth or ones touch points that will elicit an emotional response from their customers, be it good or bad. And that's what they focus on. So you might not be able to measure everything, but you don't have to if you focus on what's most important.
Right. And that's a great definition. It's one that I've used in the past. So thank you for remembering that, Audrey. I have read that in my book. Yeah, it's like, it's pain and it's pleasure. Like you said, the emotional response. If focus on a moment where if it goes well, the customer feels great, or if it goes poorly, the customer feels horrible and may leave. That, that could be some sort of onboarding when they buy a new product. It could be some sort of service call. It could be an in-home visit if that's what you're doing with field services. It could be a digital experience if that's what you have, like a digital product. It could be your checkout process. It's, you only know that, and you have to map out the journey, as Audrey said, identify every kind of interaction you have with your customer, and you'll understand which one or ones are moments of truth. I mean, you'll feel it in your gut. This has to go well, right? And Audrey, our best clients, right, will focus their measurement program on really listening to that touch point consistently.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think we did a session on this actually, but there are plenty of companies out there who will do journey mapping for you. And you can use them, but it doesn't have to be this super complicated thing. You know your customer's journey. If you sit down and think about it and write it out, you'll be able to tell, like Sean said, you know the ones that are the most important, and that's where you need to spend your time.
Yes, I was just going to say that, Audrey. We've got on our YouTube channel, you can check that out. There's another session we did that was all about exactly this, right? Finding out what those moment of truth touch points are, and some tips and tricks on how you can narrow that down. But you're so right, Audrey and Sean, you probably know more than you might think you do.
And look, if you feel like you don't for some reason, we can certainly help you. But really, if you think about it, you'll have a good gut feeling of what's most important.
Yeah, and I think the important thing here is, have a beginner's mind when you're mapping these out. Like, really think of every single interaction you have with your customer, and then start whittling them down to ones that really can make or break the relationship, or make or break the experience, or make or break whether someone's going to write a positive review or negative review about their experience publicly, right? So those are all things that I would consider strongly when kind of evaluating which ones are moments of truth. You may have one, you may have two, you usually don't have 10, right? So it's just a handful of them.
Exactly. All right, are you guys ready for the next one? It's more on the tactical side.
Yes. This is really an important one, and this is a secret, right, Audrey? But it's a very valuable secret.
Yeah.
And what this means is, when you reach out to a customer to get feedback on an email invitation, which is what most feedback is still through some sort of email that you're asking and soliciting feedback. Instead of putting some really, really long link with lots and lots of numbers at the end of the URL, which nobody knows what that is, instead put a question, which is the first question in your survey, which is either usually Net Promoter Score, which is, how likely would you to recommend the company to friend or family, or it could be kind of an overall satisfaction on your most recent experience. So you put that directly in the email. And why is that such an important thing to do, Audrey?
Yeah, I mean, you're much more likely to have someone click into a question, give their answer, than they are to click on a link. We want the least number of clicks that you can get them into the survey and answering questions that you can have. And they'll have an idea of what you're asking about right there in the email. They don't have to read a bunch of things and then click and then get into the survey. It's just a very smooth transition from that invitation into your survey, so they can immediately start providing feedback.
This will bump your response rate from 5 to 10%. And you might even get, people, you're going to get a few people that may be the only question they answer, which is all right. But that will be one of your most important questions that you're putting first, right? So you don't want to put something that isn't important or isn't kind of an overall experience type question right up front. I think the analogy, I may have shared this on PeopleMetrics Live before, but this is like exercise, right? So nobody likes to exercise mostly, but once you start it, you tend to finish it. You don't go to the gym and exercise for a minute and leave most of the cases. Just like a survey providing feedback, you might not really want to if you're a customer, but once you give your indication of net promoter score, you're like, okay, I'll finish this up, right? And that's what happens with humans, right? They're momentum creatures in a lot of ways. So that will help kind of get you much more feedback. And it's just a much more appealing invitation, right, Audrey? Because instead of all these words, text, numbers, and tech mumbo jumbo, there's actually a nice question in the email.
Right, and it'll allow you to keep the rest of the text short. It's, you know, what you really want them to focus on is that question. You're sort of removing all the other barriers, reading and clicking and other things to keep their attention. The question is right there in the email when they open it, and they can click.
Did you know that you can watch past sessions of PeopleMetrics Live right here on our YouTube channel? All you have to do is click the link above. Be sure to check them out for answers to dozens of questions, along with stories, tips, short tutorials, and best practices from our team of experts. Click the bottom right corner of this video to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update.
And here's another thing on this one, right? Avoid the temptation, just like Audrey just said. You might be tempted to write a lot of text and then put this question. This question has to be visible when they open up the email. It can't be below the fold, right, Madeline, as we say in marketing? It can't be, because you've defeated the purpose if it's below the fold. Like if you're adding a lot of text and they have to scroll down to see that first question, the purpose is defeated. It needs to be seen as they open the email.
Yeah, I was going to echo what Audrey, you and Sean were just saying about just attention span, right? Like how many times, we all know that our attention span is so much shorter now. And, you know, how many times you open your phone and already forget what you were going to do on there. So I think it's a great transition to, have that first question visible above the fold so you know kind of like what the next step is. And then to have that seamlessly transition over to the survey itself keeps the person taking that survey on task too. You know, not waiting for anything.
Definitely.
I think there is a PeopleMetrics Live session about survey design, and this is one of our main points, big points, but there's tons of other things that you should do to help you know, up your response rate, but this is definitely an important.
Yeah, and I'll be sure to link that when this goes up on our YouTube channel. I'll link that video right here so that people can jump to that. That's all about boosting response rate. That was a good one. All right.
Yeah.
Closing loop.
This is huge. So one of the big differences between market research and customer experience management is that market research only looks at data in the aggregate, right? So you look at trends and data that's in pie charts or line charts, where for customer CX, customer experience, it's about, you know, closing the loop on individual experiences, right? And this is, Audrey, one of the things that our clients, you know, probably get the most value out of. When a customer has a poor experience, they're able to know who that customer was, when that experience happened, what happened, and they can follow up systematically to make it right for that customer.
Exactly. And one of the best parts about it is they can do it very close to real time. They'll be notified right after the customer submits the survey where they said they either had a poor or a great experience. They'll receive a notification and they can follow up right then and there to say, you know, I'm so happy you provided your feedback. Thank you for letting us know about this. And here's how we can make it better. Or here's how we're going to share with our employees how great they were in your interaction.
And we also have employees there too, Madeline. So I want to touch on that too. So the most common way to close the loop is on customers who've had poor experience. And that makes sense, right? Why would you do that? You want to reduce the chance of churn. You want to reduce the chance of that person talking to others about their poor experience. And when you can get to them as quickly as possible, as Audrey said, in real time, you can often circumvent that happening, that negative word of mouth and that churn. So it makes a lot of sense. But also, you know, for our clients and for most companies, most of the experiences are not poor, right? Like there's only a handful of them that are, and you have to react to them. there's many more experiences that are delightful, right? And usually what makes a delightful experience is some member of the team delighted a customer, went above and beyond, did something special. And in almost all of our programs, right, Audrey, we'll ask a question that says, hey, did anyone go above and beyond in your most recent experience? If yes, we ask for, okay, who was that? Do you remember their name and what did they do? And what that does is it allows you to close the loop with the folks who are delivering the great experiences for you. And we call those recognition alerts, or kudos alerts, some people call them. It's just about giving the people delivering those experiences the recognition that they deserve, in the words of the customer. And it's a very powerful kind of employee commitment experience, engagement tool for you. And it doesn't cost a lot, and people love it. People love reading about what customers say about the things that they did for them.
Yeah, and I think that brings it back to our first point, right, of democratizing customer feedback. That's a way to bring that customer voice to employees every day.
Yeah, right. And we have some clients that count those up at the end of the year and give somebody a reward, an award like a brand ambassador award or customer experience ambassador award. There's so much you can do with that information, and talk about democratizing feedback, like you said, Madeline. We've had clients put the day before's recognition kind of feedback on a wall, or it could be digital, of course, or it could be shared through Slack or Teams or whatever. Like it's, the options are endless. But what you're doing there is you're creating a customer-centric culture.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing there.
Yeah, and what's so cool is, what I think is so cool about customer experience is that it allows you to have those immediately actionable things that you can do on the customer and the employee side of posting up yesterday's comments, or closing the loop to make sure that any issues are resolved. That's the immediate benefit of it. But then at the same time, you still are given those same benefits on the market research side. When you're looking at all that information, it's available to you in aggregate so that you can make those operational changes. On the employee side, it could be you want to hire more people like Mary because she got all the best, the most great customer comments. So you boost change your hiring practices that way, or cut down on your wait time because that was a big issue that came up over several months. So I just think that's awesome.
It's a favorite, that's for sure.
All right, last one here is root cause tagging and analysis.
This one is so important too, right, Audrey? So I'll describe it, and maybe you can add on.
Sure.
So when a customer has a problem and had a poor experience, we talked about closing the loop and following up. But when you do that, the best world-class companies don't just follow up and say, hey, we're sorry, whatever. They're digging into what was the true root cause of that problem. And they're tagging those root causes as part of the process to close the loop. And why is that important? Well, one, it provides an indication of what are the systemic issues going on with the customer experience at your company. So maybe it's things like wait time, or billing accuracy, or front desk knowledge, front desk empathy. I'm just thinking of like perhaps a hotel example, right? So, and you start tagging those, right? And then Audrey, you can look at this and say, wow, out of the last X number of alerts, this percentage is because of this root cause. We really need to focus on it.
Yeah, so closing the loop with customers helps with those individual feedback responses, but this root cause tagging will let you look at things in aggregate and see what's going on in the bigger picture with my responses. What are people thinking? What is causing these issues that we need to focus on? And maybe you see that wait time is coming up a lot, and you can look back and say, oh, we didn't have enough employees working during that time. We can make a change. So this will allow you to really track what's happening and then make changes within your organization to help increase your NPS.
Our founder and CEO, Sean, wrote an amazing book about customer experience management called Listen or Die, 40 Lessons That Turn Customer Feedback into Gold. It's a deep dive into best practices for CX measurement and management strategy based off of Sean's years of experience in the space, and you can easily read it front to back on an airplane ride. Pick up your copy today. It's available now on Amazon. Yeah, that's a great point, that the customer can only know as much as they're experiencing, right? So if let's say I tried to return shoes or something like that, and I had a really hard time, just getting my money back on my card, I'm just frustrated because it took a long time. But if there's root cause tagging on the other side, there might be like, other issues that were going on internally at the company that I wouldn't be privy to, that can be tagged there so that those can be addressed.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep track in a longer term way to figure out what's important and what's causing issues within your organization.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, we got through our little flower diagram. Do we want to say anything else before we jump into some Q&A?
Let me just try to summarize it. So what we're doing here. So what do world-class customer experience companies do? One, they're customer centric. And the way that happens is they're allowing everyone in the organization to see, hear, and feel the customer feedback. That's democratize, right? They listen continuously, but they're very, very disciplined about listening to the experiences that matter most, the moments of truth, right? So they have the biggest impact. They're obsessed about response rates. They want to get as much customer feedback as possible, which is about the first question. And then they're not satisfied just collecting the feedback. They're really acting on it, right? So they're following up on poor customer experiences. So that's reducing churn, increasing word of mouth. And they're also, leveraging the positive feedback to help, solidify and build that culture. And they're really digging into some systemic issues that may be impacting lots of customers that they need to fix. And that's root cause. So that just wanted to kind of summarize it in why we felt like these are really 5 of the fundamental building blocks, secrets of a great world-class customer experience company.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's a lot more kind of behind the scenes kind of activities than you might think on the surface. Audrey, is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
I think that was a great summary.
No. Great. Cool. So we just have a couple questions before we wrap up today. First one is, what about things like marketing and things like rewards programs and things like that, and in terms of how they contribute to a world-class customer experience?
Want to grab that one, Audrey?
Yeah. So I think those things are important, and they certainly have their place. Marketing is maybe the first time that someone is going to become aware of your company or of your organization. And people love rewards, and it becomes part of your customer experience. But I don't think it's really the thing that is contributing to you being customer centric and creating a world-class customer experience.
Yeah, I would say marketing makes promises that the customer experience needs to deliver on. And we have to make sure they're aligned. Your marketing can't be making promises that you cannot deliver on from an execution perspective, which is what the customer experience is. So they need to be congruent. They need to be aligned. And as Audrey said, it's important to definitely consider, but it is something that, I would say is on the periphery of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's a good distinction to make, that you want it to be aligned. Certainly, you don't want to have someone expecting a 5-star hotel and ending up at a 1-star or something like that. That's a
There's nothing, I say this all the time, there's nothing wrong with a 3-star experience as long as it's the best 3-star experience you can make it. And the marketing needs to be aligned with that, right? Like there's lots of great experiences that are not luxury high end.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But their expectations are different. The price point is different. Right. And people appreciate that. Right. That's a great experience if done well.
Right. Aligning with the expectations.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay. And last one is, this is on customer service. So we already know we deliver great customer service. How is customer experience different?
I think we did a PeopleMetrics live on this, didn't we, Madeline? Maybe
we did. Yes.
Just real quickly, customer experience is or customer service is a subset of customer experience, right? So when you think about a great experience, service is definitely part of it. And, the service you receive will influence the experience you have. But customer experience goes well beyond service. It goes beyond, it's every way that you interact with a customer, including if you have a physical product, how they experience the physical product. If you have, let's say, a hotel, it's part of the experience isn't just the interactions with the front desk, which is a service-oriented interaction. It's also around, the quality of the sheets, the cleanliness of the bathroom, the sturdiness of the slide in the pool that your kids are going down, right? Like that's all part of the experience. So you have to think of it as kind of a big bucket there.
Right. And that's all part of the customer service is one touch point, right? And when we're looking at the moments of truth and things like that, that's one touch point of many.
Right. Like digital is so important these days. That's not really service. That's delivery of the product, or maybe it's a digital service in some ways. So you just have to think of your different touch points, and some of them will be service oriented, some of them won't be.
Exactly. Well, great, guys. It looks like we're right at time. I want to thank you both for sharing your time and expertise with us, and for this great discussion going around the circle about the 5 secrets that are now not so secret behind world-class customer experience. I hope that this has been a valuable conversation for everyone we've got on the line, and I'll make sure when this goes up on our YouTube channel to link this resource so that you can download it and use it as a reference as you're talking to your team about what makes a world-class customer experience. And on behalf of everyone here at PeopleMetrics, thank you for joining us for PeopleMetrics Live. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe right here so you never miss an update. And have you checked out other sessions of PeopleMetrics Live yet? You can click right here to watch them all. I'll see you there.